like to talk about how to play Chopin Etude, Winter Wind. I played this piece like 30 years ago, like for my solo recital and also graduation recital. This is one of my favorite Chopin Etude. Just to remember three techniques, propeller technique and thumb voicing and let it go. This is where you need to use the propeller technique. So you're moving your arm, so rotating your arm side to side. Okay, so like this. If you just use your finger, it's make your wrist and forearm locked. You're gonna start having pain and you won't be able to play fast, all right? And so make sure you use the arm rotation. It's like a propeller, right? Propeller, side to side, right? It's gonna make you to play with a full relaxation, and also it's gonna make you to play loudly and also fast. So propeller technique is kind of pumping your energy. So pumping to produce energy to play loud and fast. Because you cannot use really your finger to play loudly, right? But then you're gonna start having pain and tension. So you're not using finger to play loudly in fast tempo, but you're using your arm rotation to play loud in fast tempo, right? So it's gonna help you to play loudly. We're not using finger to play loudly, okay? So you're using your arm rotation to produce energy to be able to play loudly in fast tempo, not by fingers. If you're using fingers, you won't be able to play fast at all because after just a few seconds, you're gonna get tired, right? This is the technique that you need to be able to implement so you can play with a full relaxation and also you can play loudly in fast tempo. Sure you don't use your wrist up and down, okay? Right? Not like right, but side to side. Okay, work on the thumb voicing because so most of the melodies are in the left hand, right? And then mostly the melodies are your thumb, right? So thumb voicing, so you have to bring out your thumb to sing the melody, right? Yeah. So which means the rest of the notes you have to be able to soften and bring out your thumb to sing the melody. So and that is the melody that you should be able to sing out for the entire piece, right? So you're not listening to your right hand. Basically, right hand is kind of just letting it go, right? But you're singing out the left hand. So when you're playing, boom, 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 boom. Today, I like to talk about how to play Chopin Etude black keys. As you all know, black key consists of mostly black keys. And so we have to learn how to use the gravity efficiently. Gravity decreases at a higher altitude because the force of gravity follows an inverse square law, which means the gravity weakens as you move farther from the Earth's center. So we're trying to use a larger surface area of our finger so we can play with more precision, less tension, and comfort. Remember three things: gravity, large surface area of your finger, and dynamic contrast with the relaxation. So we're trying to use a larger surface area of our fingers, so we're not using fingertip, we're not using flat fingers, but we're using that area between, all right? So right under your fingertip, right here. So you don't bend your thumb knuckle all the way, but halfway, all right? You're using the area right under your fingertip, all right, to play the black keys, all right? So you can play with more precision, less tension, and also will help avoid slipping between the keys, okay? So then you practice with the wrist rotation, all right? You're moving your wrist and arm side to side. So this is a very important method that you can implement when you play pieces, especially when you're playing Chopin Etudes. So when you play high register, you play loud. When you play the low register, you play soft. So it's going to help you to relax and also will make the sound more musical. So like this. Today, I'd like to talk about how to play Chopin Etude butterfly with the butterfly technique. So you're gonna play as light as if butterfly is sitting on a flower. You're gonna play as rapid as if butterfly flapping its wings. There are two things you should be able to minimize: the wrist rotation and the vertical distance. So this Chopin Etude, mostly you're using finger pattern 1, 4, and 1, 5. So this finger pattern is very easy to develop strain. So you have to be really, really careful when you practice this pattern. So make sure you minimize the vertical distance, so which means you don't play deep. All right, and also you minimize the wrist rotation. Once you do excessive amount of wrist rotation, it's going to lock your wrist and you won't be able to speed up. All right, so be really careful, especially when you play 1-4, 1-5 finger pattern. So you see that the melody is under your thumb and then also in the top. So when you play these melodies, you feel like you want to press deep in order to bring them out. But it's completely opposite. You have to do quick attack to bring that out instead of pushing it down. So especially when you have the melody under your thumb, you feel like you have to press deep to bring it out, right? But instead of pushing it down, you kind of need to strike so that you can bring that out. Like so. Don't try to push down to bring it out, but it's more like a striking. Striking. So you bring out the melody under your thumb by striking, not by pushing it down. So don't try to play deep. So that's what I mean by minimize the vertical distance, right? So you just play as light as possible. So minimize the wrist rotation. And then after that, you have the melody under your fourth finger and sometimes the fifth finger. So here. So you feel like you want to rotate your wrist to play. If you rotate your wrist, you won't be able to speed up. So, and then also it's going to make your wrist very tired because it's 1-4, 1-5 finger pattern. So you have to be really careful when you're doing the wrist rotation. So instead of rotating your wrist, right, just this. So you, right, and then you're striking the keys to bring that out, right? About Chopin Etude, Torrent. Presto, to be able to play very fast with a light touch. So in order to play with the fast fingers, you make sure that you use the bass knuckle correctly. So I see some students, they have no muscle on their palm right under the bass knuckle. If you don't have any muscle, then it will be very difficult for you to play fast. So because the fast finger, the full control of fast finger comes from muscle of the palm right under your base knuckle. So this is where all the full control fast finger comes from. So you spend enough time practicing to develop the muscle of your palm right under your base knuckle. When you practice, you really need to feel the muscle stretch of your palm as well as your knuckle, right? So try to feel the muscle stretch of your palm when you practice the scale. You have to feel the muscle of your palm that connected to your finger, okay? Right hand mostly runs by 4 semiquavers. So as you see on the music, you're going to see the accent sign on the first note. So this is where you need to stress, and then the rest of them you have to play softly. So like this. So down, up, touch. So you have to play 4 notes in one go by accentuating the first note. So that's how you can speed up. So you feel like you're playing only 1 note out of 4. So that's how you speed up the tempo. So try to play this 4 semi-quaver group as one by accentuating the first note with a down, up, touch. Okay, so down, up. You have to be really able to pay attention to the long notes. So I'm here. Help you to play at an even, steady tempo. All right. So I don't really recommend students to play the left hand slowly, but left hand you better play in tempo. All right. Make sure you understand the flow of music. Helps you to understand how the music flows. So playing long notes alone. So like this one. And then the right hand now plays a long note. So now you practice just a long note alone, right? So long notes alone, so you understand the flow of music.